The sun had not yet decided whether it would bless the land with mercy or scorch it with cruelty, and in that indecision the desert breathed like a living thing. Dry wind passing over cracked earth, over fences that leaned from age, over a lonely farmhouse that stood as if stubbornness alone kept it upright. The girl had been running since dawn, her breath tearing at her chest, her legs trembling with each step as if the land itself was trying to claim her back. She was Apache, raised on stories of strength and survival, taught that the earth was a mother and the sky a witness. Yet nothing in those stories had prepared her for the weight she carried now, a burden so heavy that her spirit bent beneath it. When she reached the edge of the farmer's land, her knees finally gave way, dust swallowing her cry as she fell, hands clutching at the soil like it might answer her prayers. The farmer saw her from the porch, a solitary man long accustomed to silence, his life shaped by seasons, loss, and the quiet labor of survival. He had not expected the sight of a young woman collapsing on his land, nor the fear in her eyes when she looked up at him as though he were the last wall between life and death. She tried to speak, but the words tangled with sobs, and when they finally broke free, they carried a plea, so raw it cut through him like a blade. It was too much, too big, she could not bear it anymore. The farmer did not understand all she meant, but he understood pain, understood the look of someone pushed beyond the edge. As he helped her to her feet, the world around them seemed to hold its breath. The girl's story spilled out in fragments as they moved toward the house, of a journey forced upon her, of loss stacked upon loss until her soul felt crushed beneath it. She spoke of nights hiding under open skies, of fear that followed her like a shadow, of strength demanded when none was left to give. The farmer listened, not interrupting, knowing some wounds needed space before they could close. Inside the house, the air smelled of old wood and coffee grounds, and for the first time in days she felt walls around her that were not meant to trap her. Yet even there, safety felt fragile, as if it might shatter with a single wrong move. As the day wore on, her strength faded, and the weight she carried pressed down harder, memories flooding her mind until she cried out again, saying she could not bear it, that it was breaking her. The farmer, haunted by his own past failures, faced a choice that would define him: turn away as the world so often had, or stand against the cruelty that had driven her here. Outside, the sun finally chose, blazing high above the land, casting long shadows that stretched like fingers across the dirt, as if reminding them both that darkness was never far away. And as the chapter of that day closed, with the girl resting fitfully and the farmer standing watch, one truth settled deep into the bones of that lonely place. Some burdens are too heavy to carry alone, and sometimes fate brings two broken paths together, so they might become one road toward survival. If this story has already gripped your heart, remember to subscribe to the channel, because this is only the beginning of a Wild West tale you won't want to miss. Night came softly, the desert cooling as stars emerged like scattered embers across the sky, and with them came the weight of decisions yet to be made. The Apache girl woke from troubled sleep, her dreams filled with echoes of running feet and voices calling her name, and for a moment she did not know where she was. Then she saw the dim glow of the lamp, the rough wooden walls, and the farmer seated nearby, silent and steady, as if he had not moved since dusk. Something in that quiet presence loosened the tight knot in her chest, and she spoke again, this time with less fear and more sorrow, telling him the rest of what she carried. She spoke of her people, of promises broken, of being forced into a world that demanded more than she could give, until her very identity felt like a burden too large for her frame. The words "I can't bear it" returned, but now they sounded less like a scream and more like a confession. The farmer, listening under the vast authority of the night sky, realized that the West was not just a land of opportunity and freedom, but also a place where the strong often survived by breaking the weak. He confessed his own failures, the family he had lost, the times he had looked away when he should have stood firm, and in that exchange of truth something fragile and powerful formed between them: understanding. When danger came, it did not announce itself politely. It arrived with the distant sound of horses and the tension that crawled up the spine before the mind fully understands the threat. The farmer knew then that sheltering her meant choosing a side, and he chose without hesitation. The night stretched long as fear and courage wrestled within those walls. But when dawn finally came, it found two people no longer defined solely by what they carried, but by what they were willing to protect. The girl stepped outside as the first light touched the land, standing taller than before, still wounded but no longer alone beneath the weight she bore. She understood that the burden might never fully disappear, but it could be shared, faced one step at a time. The farmer watched her, knowing that redemption does not come from erasing the past, but from standing firm in the present. As the sun rose, painting the desert gold, their path stretched forward into uncertainty, yet also into possibility. This was not a story of easy endings, but of resilience, of choosing humanity in a harsh world, and of finding strength when everything feels too big to bear. If this Wild West story moved you, inspired you, or made you reflect on courage and compassion, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories like this. Your support helps keep these voices and tales alive.